So even if the battery earth's out, it'll keep running.
They make their own power, don't they? So here we go right now. And this is we're into Superboats. Yep, we're into the Americans now.
Yep.
And Mouthfresh team. Now, you know these guys, Ron Gallagher and Josh Reynolds. Tell me about what's going on here.
Well, these boys have bought the ex-Paddy Hayden Superboat, and it's an older sprint tech that hasn't done much racing. He's gone the wrong way.
He's having a bit of trouble here today, actually. He's on the wrong side of the road.
Yep. I told the navigator to get angry, so Josh is doing exactly that, and he's gone back on track. So well done. Top effort, really.
So they've just purchased this boat to take back to the States?
Yeah, he did 3 short runs between the rain 2 days ago down in Canterbury and straight into it. So, it's all new to him. And
and we're off track again. Now, tell me, you start second-guessing yourself if you've got engine problems or if you're not sure about the track? And
all of the above. And this is a track where you really cannot afford to have issues with either your navigation or mechanical issues, because you don't get a rest here. You've just got to be on your game.
Yep.
And your maximum duty cycle, if you like, to process a good lap and everything going cleanly. So if you start having grief or you're looking, you got one ear on the motor, etc., like Si would have had, or will have now, it just takes the edge off you for a while until you build that confidence again.
Back up. Yeah. Now tell me, you've had some pretty good navigators in your time when you were racing.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think of the 2 ladies that you've had there, and they play an integral part, don't they? What do you look for your navigator?
Hugely, and firstly, personality, and if they can't fit in with the team, then we had such an awesome team that you couldn't afford to have somebody come in there that wasn't going to gel. So that's the first thing. Someone who's probably a little bit loose in the head department that are happy to sit beside somebody like me and go around a track fast, because I wouldn't. Yeah.
And speaking of good teams, here's Aaron Hansen, Julianne Shanks and Wired fencing contractors in the Tauranga area. They're great people, these two. Aaron came like a bull at the gate to the sport, hasn't he?
He has, and he spent a bit of time around it, and he built a few boats, and this is the first sprint tech he's had, and definitely getting his teeth into it. It's good to see him just pull back a little bit there. I think the boat's still moving around a little bit too much. We discussed that at Hastings, and he's out racing himself a little bit. Some of those square corners, he's just not quite got the rotation down pat, but he's doing a good job to keep it together.
Yeah, good on him. It takes a while to marry up to a boat, a new boat.
Look, I think this track, like I started to say earlier,
he's gone off track.
Exactly. Just one little hesitation and it punishes you hard.
Especially in a superboat, I guess, when you're going just that little bit quicker. And
and the other thing with superboat, even though some Group A's might do similar times to some of the slower superboats, is Superboat's super aggressive to drive. The throttle is like an ignition, like a switch, a light switch. They're on and off because of the fuel injection, the high compression, the alcohol fuel. All those things make the motor really snotty and responsive. And when you lift off, you think the ignition's cut because it
just happens like that.
Totally different to a carbureted motor. And even the LSs, they're pretty gentle on the trailing throttle. And those are some of the differences. But pretty cool though. It's nice to see such a great field and diverse field of superboats that we've got this season.
So when I was commentating a lot, I don't think I only ever saw you come out of the water maybe once or twice. What goes through your mind after you've had an off?
A fair bit of torture.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I think from my perspective, when you've got really world-class navigator alongside you, they can give you a special instruction, a unique hang signal or whatever you need prior to the difficult part of the track that you're trying to navigate or where you last got lost. So we had quite a few processes nutted out. Sharma and Karen Marshall were both exceptionally good at that. And now, of course, Sam Udick is getting the benefit of that as well.
She's a good girl.
Nice and light, too much over 50 kilos, and we have to get the laxatives into them to bring them down again. And the driver's twice that weight, of course, but he doesn't like laxatives.
Fair enough. Tell me about some of the engine setups that you've put in some of those boats over the years. I mean, that bootlegger boat's 600 cubic inch big block Chevy. Talk a little bit about big blocks. Small blocks, alloys.
That motor goes back to Duncan Wilson in the sport, and then more recently the Red Rocket that I raced briefly.
All right, here we go. The Blue Flame, Dave Simmons. Now Dave's a guy that's really improved since I've been away. He's driving nice.
Yeah. He's got something going on with the fuel map. You hear when he lifts off, the thing actually gives quite a hiss.
Yep. Yeah, so you got a great ear for machines as we look to the Superboat here. Dave Simmons there just in, Millie Simmons, the Blue Flame. Their quickest time so far, 53.476. We've got a split of 26.253, so they're on the money here.
Yeah, very innovative engineer, Dave. He's always playing around, and he's a real thinker, and yeah, he's a great example of what can be done.
Yeah. And even with the Superboat, it's hard on the throttle now, right now.
Yeah, well, clearly that boat's loving being driven hard. You know, at the end of the day, that's the way to go, isn't it? You know, and when he gets on that trailing throttle, and he'll, you know, he's a thinker. He'll fine tune that a little bit more and suss out what that stumble is in the lower mid range. So,
well, he's working it out because he's a second quicker than he has been. 52.662.
Yeah,
52.662.
Yeah.
How do you play the game? You build yourself up through the quals and then the elimination rounds?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, if your boat's nicely settled or well set up to start with, and you have confidence on it, then that's a big plus. You know, you can get up to speed a heck of a lot quicker than some others, and it's always a target. You know, you don't always have that going on, and but yeah, it's a progression really. You're not looking to take 3 or 4 seconds out in one lap. You're just trying to find half a second, 1 second, learning the track a lot. You know, the question tends to be in your head, you know, what do I need to know if I was going into a final this afternoon? You know, how do I want the boat to be set up if I'm fortunate enough to get to the final?
Now let's talk about hand grenades, the Mina machine, like 444. Big thing that it is. Like, have you ever sat in the seat of that thing? Like,
no. Do I look that sort?
No, that's what I'm thinking. Like, Richard Murray's got a little bit of crazy in him. I know that from the days at school. But talk about trying to control this thing around the track.
It's a cool piece of history, mate. If that doesn't get your heartbeat going, you're dead, as they say. And it's very real. Just love it.
And the amount of horsepower, you know, it's up around that 1,500 horsepower. Richard's just blowing water and stuff everywhere at everyone, but he only has one speed, doesn't he?
Yeah. Richard, you know, raced a lot of years in Group A, and he's really adapted well to Superboat. And there are not too many drivers that would drive that boat as aggressively as he does, and gets the lap times he knocks out. So yeah, it's great. You know, it's a crowd pleaser, no doubt.
Yeah, the 22nd.
Oh, late.
Oh. I don't know how he managed that.
I'm pretty sure he sucked the water out of the safety tyres down here and blew it away.
You get a great view of just how late he was on that corner, but he managed to get it around. I think what he did was he put his foot down harder. 53.389, 53.389. He had the power to kick himself around that corner.
Totally. Yeah.
53.389. Jeez, it wasn't as quick as the previous run, but scarier. Right. Probably scarier.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to Coley's next. Yep, we're going to Rob Coley, the
cool.
twin turbo SPC 400.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
It's a very cool motor, and Rob would be one of the most determined competitors in the sport. You know, like he is driven, and he drives hard all the time. You know, so
And then there with his wife, and there with his wife Angie.
Yeah, they're a great package. Those two, they really are. They're great folks, and they've done a lot for the sport, and they're very determined to get a better result. This boat's looking half good too, you know, so hopefully he's got his rotation down pat. He had a couple of issues with that in round 1 of the championship a few weeks back. He's wide. Man, he got away with that.
I don't know how.
Rob Coley could.
I don't know how, because there wasn't much water under the boat around the back end of that corner there, so he managed to draw enough water off the grass to keep himself going. But here's this corner that we talk about coming up.
Absolutely. He's got it.
Yeah, he's nailed that.
He's got that good.
Well done. This is the naming right sponsor for the Superboats here, Mouthfresh. They put a lot into the sport. They've got boats in Australia and New Zealand. They're competitive sprint races. As we come around for a final time here, and we're looking to a really quick run of 52.445, some 3 seconds quicker than he's been all day. 52.445.
Nice.
Amazing.
He'll
really.
He'll be chuffed for that.
Yeah. He can't.
That's a good base to build from, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that looks like the quickest time today.
It might be the quickest time
today. It is the quickest time, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Sam's done a 52.66. So, yeah.
Okay, we're going to go to boat number 47 that goes Phil Dick and Hayden Digby Spith. They've had a little bit of trouble with navigation and also just finding their way through that water.
Yeah. It's a bit of a development boat. He's been working away at it for a while. He's a bit of a mad scientist, and in a nice way, and he's always trying something different. So, anything can happen when you do that.
You've been building boats for a long time and setting up packages and stuff. There's been some amazing improvements in your time, but do you have to set up a boat for a driver these days? Like, is every little combination just a fraction different?
Yeah, we do. And that's why I come along to these events. If I can't be there, say in the case of America or Australia, I watch the live streams and my clients get a lot of texts. Oh, he spun her up, but he's actually retrieved it, so good on him. Yes, it's you've got to get the boat in the zone so that it's 99% really as a design and a concept, if you like, and then you can fine-tune it from there. So, as I said, we've made some changes to Ollie's boat already, probably going to make another little one yet, and if he's once we've talked with him, if he's looking for a little bit more stability so we can get some more channel into it. See here, Phil's just, rightly controlling the throttle, holding back the power until he can, get the boat set up so that it can control more of that big block sheave in the back.
All right, and a time for them, 108.535. They're coming down in the times. They've got a long way to go yet, though.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we take the top 9 through to the elimination round, then the top 6, and then down to the top 3, and that's when the real pressure's on. And you're holding on to the seat of your pants there and going as fast as you can.
Exactly. What was Blake Bryant's best time so far? I had a DNF on the last run.
Yeah, he had a 56. The boat's looking really good in the water.
Right. It was last event as well. So I think you'll see him come out and he'll be pretty grumpy and pretty focused, I would think.
That sounds like Blake to a T. He's so competitive. Second generation jet sprinter and
he's good.
Okay, we're going to go to boat number 80 now. That is Devil's Advocate, Robert White. Had a 53.447, and so that's pretty good. Robert's been around for a long time, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think it was 1986 New Zealand Jet Sprint champion when 350 horsepower and a Hemi was enough to get you a result. But he's this turbo package is suiting him, and he's not short of giving it the jandle.
No, and he's driving like a young man out there actually, and as you said, he's been in the sport for a long time, so got a good navigator, got a good package boat, looks good in the water. Let's watch it go around the giant oils. Yep, great. Not much.
Well done, isn't it?
Not much wrong, is there?
Yeah, nice.
So if you were against him, you'd be looking at that saying, well, he's definitely deserves that 3 on his roll cage there, because he's competitive.
Yep.
We've got our first 50, sub 50, ladies and gentlemen. Our first sub 50 with a 49.381. 49.381. With times like that in qualifying, where do you think we'll be at the end of the day?
That is pretty impressive, isn't it? Actually, at this stage of the proceedings. So that's going to give him a lot of confidence as well to go forward and to build from that. There's definitely more time in it coming down the bottom of the track here. Through the S's, he was playing it pretty cautious, so so that you can definitely see more time.
So are we going to be a 47 maybe?
No, I don't know that he's going to do a 47, but if he did a high 48, I think you'd be pretty chuffed.
Okay, here's Blake Bryant. We just talked about this competitor from Gisborne, Blake Bryant, Cassandra Norman. 56 is their quickest time so far, but this boat just looks good.
Yeah, Blake's had a few seasons off, and it's great to see him back racing again, and his dad Peter's done a heck of a lot of racing. I've done a lot of racing against him over the years, and great to see a second really wide there, but it sort of worked for him all right. So, it's just a super difficult corner.
Yeah, they're very, very good races in their day. I was lucky enough to go for a ride around Gisborne track with his father once. Yeah, he's got that nice.
Yeah, he has actually got out of there all right.
Fed that, filtered that throttle.
Definitely showing a lot of respect. Same through the bottom here.
It's a nice package and
it is,
well put together and
nice and nimble.
Looks good in the water, and the time's going to be right on the 51.096. 51.096. Really getting a feel for that track now. 51.096. So not too far away from the white boat that's just been out. That Bars Bugs boat. Yeah, Blake's been busy making babies, if I can say that over the air. They've got a young family, and they took a couple of years. Took a couple of years off. So we're going to go to either Ruben Hoxema or Sam Newdick next. We'll see what's going to go to Sam Newdick, and Sharma, your ex-navigator.
Yep.
Lovely lady from Ashburton.
Yeah. Cool.
NZ
Ruben had a few issues. He had a little bit of a touch early on in the day and just glanced the side of the hull, and it's pushed one of the steering pulleys in a little bit, so he's had to reset that. So that's why we didn't see him in the previous run, but I expect he'll be back out there again any minute.
So let's have a talk about Sam Newdick's setup and 575.
Nice package, yeah. We built that motor originally, I don't know, back in probably 2014, 2015, something like that. Yeah, really nice motor. It's a little GFX hull in actual fact, and doesn't have the biggest jet unit in the world. Sam's got a lot of talent and he makes the most of it.
Tell me what, I have had a question asked today, what does it cost to set a Superboat up, something like this? Like, I know it's a ball of string and you don't know when to call it an end, but...
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you want to go to the World Champs and say you've got a package that's capable of winning, you can rub up 150, 200 grand pretty quick, but it depends what you want, You need a trailer and that's, included. Normally most people, it sneaks up on them, doesn't it, really? It's like your wife's shoe collection, It doesn't start out costing much.
That's right. So, yeah, anywhere between 150 and 200, you're going to be super competitive in Superboats. Okay, let's watch this giant corner. Sam just makes it look easy again, and his quickest time so far of 52.664 as we go around the top of the Kiwi Span Island again, coming home hell for leather. And this is going to be quick. It's just a hard left-hander, and across the line we go. And we've got a 51.228, 51.228, building up what he needs to.
Taking a different route home, and recently it should work too.
Yeah, whatever it takes to get home safely.
Yeah, you're onto it. Yeah. Getting across that finish line and actually getting back to the trailer is part of your race at this track. So got to stay sharp. It's sounding good. I mean, he's not pulling big revs in that package for sure. So I think there's a fair bit left there yet on the table.
All right, so now we look to Ruben. As you said, he had a bit of a touch on the bank and rattled things loose. So Ruben Hoxina, Jacob Wood coming to us next. Ruben used to be beside me here in the commentary box days gone by, doing everything he needed to make sure that he ran well. Now he's out on the track and he drives a bit like his father.
He's driving better than his father.
I was waiting for that. But that thing's going.
He's really he's adapted to it well. He's made some improvements to it with its performance, and just seeing a bit of a characteristic there. I think I can make a few suggestions to set up his boat a wee bit better for the rest of the day. So this is a good position we've got here. I can get a few bit of a spy on what's going on with his boat. So now he's got this extra power and extra jet unit we'll put in up the winter.
Ruben got a touch. You might have to do a little bit more than just adjust the boat. Tell us a little bit about that engine.
2JZ, so it's out of a Toyota Supra. Normally they're a 3-litre straight 6. This one here is got a stroker kit in it, so a bit more stroke on the crankshaft. It's 3.4 litres. Single turbo, it's a big one. It's worth having a look at lunchtime, so a huge snail on the side of that thing.
Yeah.
And in the past they ran E85 fuel and had an ear-to-ear intercooler. This year they've gone 100% methanol alcohol fuel. And it's pretty much methanol is like 99.98% pure alcohol. You can't drink it, you'll go blind. A lot sooner than if 12 vodka, I might add. The theory being to try and keep the induction temperature down. So they're injecting methanol into the inlet track before it gets into the inlet manifold to try and give that cooling effect. So methanol fuel has about 7 times, or absorbs and takes 7 times the heat of most other petroleum or oil-based petroleum. So it has quite a cooling effect. So you put alcohol, steriliser with coke and all that rubbish on your hands, and you get that cool effect. That is essentially what they're doing. They're injecting raw fuel into the induction track to cool it down and saving weight on having the intercooler and all that complexity. It's quite a work of art, really, with the amount of programming and everything they've done. They didn't have this boat for very long ready to test before round 1, so they're doing a ripper job getting that little thing going, and it has a huge following too.
It sounds good, it looks good, and once they get it keyed in, it's going to be great. Hey,